I have been asked to speak for the next 15 minutes about HER2 positive metastatic breast cancer and CNS metastasis. What's new? Obviously, when we need to talk about what's new, we also need to know about what is old so that we can decide what's up. And also, there are certain of these drugs which is always nice to read about and know, but none of us have personal experience about it and are unlikely to have any personal experience for the next following couple of years. So, next slide, please. HER2 space has now really expanded from the original trastuzumab. Now we have trastuzumab, pertuzumab. Then, of course, you have the HER2 targeted monoclonal antibodies like the margetuximab, as well as the trastuzumab deruxtecan and the trastuzumab duocarmazine. When you look at the TKIs, you have lapatinib, neratinib, and tucatinib, and of course, a whole bunch of other medicines which are there in the pipeline for us. Next slide. Specifically looking at the first line treatment for HER2 positive MBC, the first line still remains pertuzumab, trastuzumab, and docetaxel. The landmark event of 8 years survival of around 23% is something that really 23 versus 37% is something that cannot be equaled, and so can the value of OS of 17 months. So this remains the first line for all treatments even now. Next slide. When we talk about the CNS disease, what we have realized is that as time goes by, more than 50% of patients with HER2 positive MBC develop brain metastasis. Now, one of the theories is that as far as the systemic therapy is becoming better and better with the trastuzumab, it kind of unmasks the brain development as time goes by. So, lapatinib and capecitabine is an approved option, but the response rates are not great. The CNS overall response rate for lapatinib capecitabine is 21.4%. The median PFS is only 4 months and OS is only 11 months. Now, all the drugs like trastuzumab, pertuzumab, and PD-1/M1 do not usually penetrate the CNS under normal conditions. Next slide. So the analysis of the CNS metastasis from the CIST-HERS registry showed that those patients who had CNS metastasis either at the diagnosis or after diagnosis had an inferior PFS, inferior OS as compared to those patients who did not have CNS metastasis. Again, pretty much understandable. Looking at the numbers, it's around 9 to 10 months versus 19 months for those without CNS metastasis. Next slide. There was a paper from Belgium which looked at what were the risk factors for the development of brain metastasis, and they did an analysis and found out that the age less than 40 years, then the stage of the disease, that was the primary T2, T3, T4. Next slide. The other factors which included the nodal involvement, no adjuvant HER2 therapy or late adjuvant therapy, and finally, interestingly, developing the first site of metastasis in the lungs. These 5 factors predicted the chance of developing a CNS metastasis. So these were important factors. And again, to be honest, we normally do not look at these and predict a CNS metastasis in a patient, but it's time we probably started doing that. Next slide. So before coming on to the systemic therapy, we need to understand that all these trials either use stable brain mets or treated brain mets. So the treatment, by and large, what we accept is that if there's a solitary metastasis, we can go for a resection. Limited metastasis with a low volume, you would probably go for a radiosurgery, SRS. In those patients who have multiple brain metastasis, the number keeps changing. Initially, it used to be considered 3 to 4, then the concept changed from size to volume. But anyway, in those patients with multiple brain mets, whole brain RT is what we would be using. Next slide. So what about the systemic therapy? First, I'll talk about the TKIs. Next slide. When the initial TKI came, that was the lapatinib. Now, the first 2 papers which came as far back as 2009 and 2013 looked at phase 2 studies. Initially, only lapatinib was tried, and that had a response rate in the CNS of around 15 to 16%. Then came the study of lapatinib with capecitabine at the landscape study that showed an improvement in the CNS control to around 40%. Next slide. So based on this, in the initial period, a lot of us thought that any patient with a CNS metastasis should ideally go for a lapatinib capecitabine combination rather than trastuzumab combination. There was, however, a bit of a disappointment with the randomized phase 3 Cerebell trial. Now, Cerebell did not have patients with CNS metastasis comparing lapatinib capecitabine versus trastuzumab capecitabine. with a primary endpoint being the CNS as the first site of relapse. Now, when they looked at the results, though the median time to CNS progression was slightly longer in the lapatinib arm of 5.7 months, the median PFS overall and the median OS overall was inferior for the lapatinib arm, and therefore the trial closed early for futility in this arm. So, if you have a patient with CNS mets, would you give lapatinib capecitabine first off? There really is no strong data to consider this. Next slide. When they looked at the next TKI, that is neratinib. Now, neratinib is a pan-HER TKI with irreversible inhibition. Next slide. The study, which was actually designed to look at brain metastasis, was the TBCRC 022. This was a phase 2 trial reported last year in ASCO. Next slide. What this study showed was that the best CNS responses, the number of patients was not too high, but it did show the almost a 50 to 60% CNS response. Next slide. So then came the study of the NALA. NALA was neratinib capecitabine versus lapatinib capecitabine in HER2 positive patients with 2 or more prior lines of HER2 targeted therapy. The brain mets again in this was asymptomatic stable brain mets were allowed. Looking at the primary endpoint of OS, secondary endpoint included intervention for CNS metastasis. Next slide. As we would all remember the study, it did show that there was a benefit in terms of the PFS, which was significant, and OS was better numerically, though statistically non-significant. The curves seem to separate out later. We need to probably wait for a longer term follow. Next slide. However, when they looked at the time to intervention for CNS metastasis, there did seem to be a difference of around 7% in favor of the neratinib capecitabine arm. So, based on NALA, you would probably still go with this combination, looking for a slightly better CNS improvement and a PFS. OS is still not there. Toxicity is a concern, though yes, we have trials which say that if you can give good anti-diarrheal prophylaxis, you do not have so much diarrhea. Next slide. So the other drug which really has come about in a pretty interesting way is tucatinib. Now, tucatinib is a HER2 selective TKI with less EGFR associated toxicity. It also has a CNS penetration. Next slide. The initial study, which was a phase 1B study, combined tucatinib, capecitabine, and trastuzumab and was found to have the maximum response. Next slide. So this year, the HER2 CLIMB study came around, which is a phase 2 study. Now, this, remember, was in patients who have already received at least 2 to 3 prior trastuzumab, pertuzumab, and TTM1. The drug used was tucatinib, capecitabine, and trastuzumab. So remember, you're giving 3 drugs here. That in itself is not easy to give. When you have 2 drugs, it's difficult. When you are adding a third drug, it does become a little difficult. Next slide. Now, the HER2 CLIMB did have patients with brain metastasis of around 48%. These were either treated or untreated. Next slide. The PFS was met. You found a difference of around 2 months. Again, we are kind of looking at the same number of 2 months benefit with each new drug. The hazard ratio of 0.54. Next slide. The subgroup analysis showed that those patients with brain mets and without brain mets both benefited with the addition of the tucatinib. Next slide. The OS in the total population is again better by around 3 months. More importantly, when you looked at the 2-year overall survival, there was around an 18% difference. So seems to be a consistent difference which is maintained for a while. Next slide. When they looked at those patients with PFS benefit, again, they showed that there was a benefit of those patients who had brain metastasis, and there the median CNS PFS, when you looked at, was 9.9 months for the tucatinib versus only 4 months in the control arm. The median OS was around 18 months versus 12 months. That's a 6-month OS benefit. And remember, for all the doubters, especially in the comment section who are talking about lack of OS, this was one study which did show OS advantage. The overall response rate was, of course, higher also, as can be expected. Next slide. So, further studies which are coming in, we are looking at leptomeningeal metastasis with this combination. Next slide. There is going to be another study which would also be looking at combination in the earlier lines. What about the targeted antibody drug conjugates? Next slide. You had the drug which was the trastuzumab deruxtecan compared in the Destiny 1 trial. Next slide. And remember, these were all patients who were TDM resistant. Next slide. In those patients, there was a benefit. Again, there was a small number of patients with brain metastasis. Next slide. And the FDA did approve this toxic drug. However, based on the overall response rate alone, this was approved. It is better in the third line and beyond. No real data that it would support the CNS metastasis or would work in that subgroup of patients. Next slide. The other drug which was there, next slide. These are the studies which are being planned right now, the breast O2 and the breast O3. Next slide. Next slide. So next came the drug called the trastuzumab deocarmazine. Now, I really don't want to spend much time in this study, basically because we don't have this drug. We probably will not get this drug in the near future. Next slide. The one other interesting drug was the margetuximab versus trastuzumab. Now, that was compared in the SOPHIA trial. Again, 1 to 3 prior lines of treatment for metastatic disease, prior brain mets allowed. Next slide. This study did show, can you go back one slide, please? So this study did show some benefit for PFS, but again, overall survival advantage was not shown. So that as a drug is really not much in favor of. So what are the implications of practice? Especially let us consider the Indian scenario. One thing which we should not forget is the need for local therapy. Remember, if you have only 1 or 2 meds, this is not like a lung cancer with brain meds where you know your ALK inhibitors, your EGFR inhibitors are going to take care of the brain metastasis. For a HER2 brain metastasis, if you have a brain met, it is probably best to address it first and then go with the first line therapy. Would we be comfortable just giving TPH with untreated brain mets? Personally, I wouldn't be that comfortable in that scenario. If we treat the brain mets, first line, would you go for TPH or a lapatinib capecitabine? I would still go for a TPH if it is feasible. If not, of course, a TH is a good option. And a corollary to this, should we do a routine MRI trying to look for brain metastasis? There is a clinical study which did not show a benefit, but yes, the slightest doubt if we have, it's always better to look for these with the MRI. Second line, in India, probably we don't have too many options. If you have brain mets, go for a lapatinib capecitabine combination. You don't have brain mets, TDM1, if your patient is rich, can afford it. Or else, of course, we go with the lapatinib, and then we go down the line of all the various chemotherapies. Vinorelbine was something which has been used, though again, we don't seem to use it much. HER2 targeted TKIs appears to be a reasonable option in the second line and beyond. Both neratinib and tucatinib, though the tucatinib data is better. I'm not aware of the exact cost of tucatinib. We were discussing in the group, and probably if our neighboring countries decide to help us out by giving us some generics, it might be better. But anyway, that's on a lighter note. Trastuzumab deruxtecan, major new therapy approved in the third line, likely to move ahead. And this is something interesting, especially for those patients without brain mets. Margetuximab, I personally feel it's really not of much benefit. So that is about the role of HER2 and brain metastasis. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you very much.